All right, good. Good morning. Good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Live in the West and to Monday Morning Live in the East. All right. East meaning planet, not on any particular continent, like not East Coast of the US or Poland rather than England. No. East meaning Thailand, China, Malaysia, places like that. Anyway, good evening to you all and good morning to you all. Let me see. Actually, I almost was on time today. Yeah, good. All right, and I almost actually love that. I didn't have this together. What are you doing? God. Okay, there we go. Yep. Can someone do the Dr. Lodi protocol on blood thinners? Dr. Lodi protocol on blood thinners. You mean I don't? Oh yeah. So we're gonna have this. We're gonna play this game again of getting. What's interesting is that. Are we back on? Are we? Anybody from Facebook? Let me know that you're on. Huh? Are we on, everybody? No. Hey, are we on, everybody? Anybody tell me? Are we on? Yes. Back on? Okay. Unbelievable. So, you know what? I only have connection problems when I'm doing restream. Otherwise, never. It never goes off and on like this. So, is it restream? I don't know. Will I ever get this together? No, because I'll never get a team together. Why won't I get a team together? Because I don't know. Bad karma? Who knows? Why? I don't know. But here we are. Yay. At least we're here. Um, anyway, I can't fix this lighting. So, all right. So here we are. We're back on. We got people from Facebook. All right. I can hear you and see. Okay, great. You can hear and see, and everybody can hear and see on the other stuff too, right? Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Anybody on X? Who's on X? Nobody's on X. Why? Why? Are we all just habituans? We're all just habits. We can't get out of our habits. Is that it? What does it take to get out of our habits? Do we have to have somebody tap us on the shoulder, by the way, and say, by the way, you might just be dying pretty soon? Oh, really? Okay, well, then I better make some changes. That's what we need, right? I guess. Because we can't just change because it's a good idea. Like we can't just change our diets. If I grew up eating Fritos and drinking Pepsi Colas and eating cheeseburgers, and then I read and I find out that's not really in my best interest, I can't just change. How can I change? It tastes good. No, I have to have someone tell me that, you know what, you're really sick and you might not make it very much longer. Oh, why? Because of what you're doing. Oh, okay. I guess I'll change. Is that what it takes, you guys? Anyway, I'm just trying to say is, why don't we go over to X? Can someone tell me why you're not on X right now? I'd like to know. Let's do a live thing here. Why are we not on X? Hello? Is there a reason that we're not on X? Do we have a contract with Mark Zuckerberg? You like him? He's a nice guy, right? We got to support Mark, right? Because he's building this really special bunker in Maui, and we want to make sure it's really a good bunker, right? To protect him. No, I know it went out too, but why are we never on X all exclusively? If we could all get over to X, we could forget all these other ones, right? And then I can talk. If not, I'm gonna have to say and then I don't think we all want to hear that. I don't want to say it. Uh-huh. So we need something drastic to happen. Hey, Chicago. Maria. And Michael. Sydney. All right. Listen, you guys. Sydney, why are we on Facebook? Why don't we go to X? Why? Just tell me why. I just want to know why. I mean, what's the reason? Is there a reason? Is there a reason? There's got to be a reason. Don't know how. You hate Elon Musk. You like Instagram. Okay, so suppose now that Instagram censors me. In fact, they do. In fact, I can't say what I want to say. So I won't say it. And if I won't say it, you won't hear it. And then what are we doing here? All right, so if we stay on these censored channels, then we can expect nothing more than centered rhetoric. All right, but I can't say what I want to say. I have to be careful. All right, so that's it. So let's, if we if we think Elon's doing a better job than what's his name? Is that what's that guy? What's that guy's name? But it's not that can't be a human being. The guy with the white face and testifying before Congress. Remember that guy? I think his name was Fuckerberg, something like that. Yeah. So anyway, you got the two there. Let's say wait. Anyway, but not only that, I cannot be honest, and that's what I want to do. I want to be able to just talk. All right. Yay! Let's stay on X. Come on, you guys. Let's go over to X. Dr. Thomas Lodi MD, Dr. Thomas Lodi MD, Dr. Thomas Lodi MD on X. Just go over to X because then I can eventually just have a show on X, and I won't have to be on any, and I'll just do that, and I won't be at maybe X and Rumble, and then a live stream from the website, and that's it. And then all the other ones go away because they're not gonna allow free speech. Yay! Come on, you guys. Cool. You're not getting on X for some reason, huh? You're not getting audio on X. Is that true for anybody else? Are you getting audio on Facebook? We're getting audio on Facebook, right? Hello, hello, hello. I have an audio here. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, you're okay on X. You hear it fine. Yes on Facebook. Yes on X. Yeah. All right, cool. So if we can switch over, sooner the better, because and then I don't have to worry what who owns who are the people running Facebook and Instagram now? What's it called? Multi something? What is it called? Multi something? Anyway, whatever that is. Yay, look at you guys. All right, fantastic. I love it. Yay, yay, let's go X, because then I can say what I want. And then you know what? If they cancel me, so the what, right? Yes. Meta. There you go. It's Meta. Yeah, so this Meta, whatever it is, who owns Meta? BlackRock and Vanguard? I don't know. What is there anything they don't own? No. They don't own what? They don't own what, you guys? They don't own our souls. They don't own our souls. All right. So let them get their hands off your minds, because they do have their hands on your minds. Okay? Your mind but they can't touch your soul. So anyway, BlackRock and Vanguard. So I don't know if they own Meta. I know they own Meta. What am I saying? That's like saying, anyway. So I guess Elon is somewhat separate from them all at this moment, maybe, or at least it appears that way. And what we all know is what? What's that one truism we all know? What appears to be is not. And if we can get that in our put those glasses on when we look at the world and say, what appears to be is not. Whatever we think we see, that's not it. That is the illusion, the distraction. What is it? They distract you over here, and they're doing something over here. Remember that? Right? If you've ever been to Las Vegas and you've seen any of their magic shows, that's what it is. They're distracting you over here. Meanwhile, they're doing something over here. I think that's happening. I know that's happening. See, we have to watch our language, because our language makes us sound stupid. I know that's happening. You know that's happening. They're not billionaires. They're trillionaires. Beyond billionaires. That's the thing. When we look at the Forbes 500 or whatever it is, and we look at the top richest person, they have Elon Musk up there at what does he got? 250 billion. The people that run everything, what do they have? I think the Rockefeller clan is estimated to have something about 500 trillion. Anyway, what I want to tell you is that the game of Monopoly, remember that game of Monopoly we used to play? Is there any way to make screen larger, new to X? I don't know. Anybody know on X, is there any way to make the screen larger? You guys on Instagram, you got to remember something. There's going to come a day very soon where Meta is going to say, whoa, Look what they did to TikTok. I mean, my channel's not even there now. And that's because I had the audacity to talk about propolis. Can you imagine? I don't know what got into me that day, but I had this incredible obsession to talk about propolis, and I did, and I paid the consequences. Anyway, all right, it's madness. Get off Instagram. Let's get instantly off Instagram and instantly on X. Okay, so here's the thing. The game of Monopoly. Remember the game of Monopoly? All played that when you were a kid. Maybe still play it. All right. So the idea of Monopoly is to buy whoever owns the most property wins, right? Because nobody can afford to go around the board anymore because you have to pay rent every time they stop on your property, right? Right. So guess what? The game of Monopoly on planet Earth was over long ago. They own all the property. Yeah, they already bought it all. They own the earth. They own everything. Yeah. No. I own my house. I bought my house. I got 2 acres of land, or I got a half acre of land. I own my house. You do, huh? Oh, you own the land on your house is on, right? Yeah, you're the owner. How do you know you're the owner? Well, I have this deed, and the deed says I'm the owner. Ah, I see. Okay. Now, what if you stop paying rent? I don't pay rent. What are you talking about? You don't pay rent every year to the government? No. Well, maybe they call it taxes. Yeah. All right, so stop paying rent. See what happens. See who owns that property. If you own that property, that means you have full authority over it, right? Right. Do you have full authority over your property? No. Because you have to pay taxes. Are you paying taxes on something? It's like, should I pay tax? I bought my shirt. I had to pay sales tax, right? Now, do I have to pay taxes every year? No. Why? My car. I bought my car. Paid off. Do I have to pay taxes every year? No. What would it mean to pay taxes every year? If I didn't pay the taxes on my car every year, they would take my car away. Anyway, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Game of Monopoly is over long time ago. So when Klaus the Slob says, hey, you will own nothing in 2030, we already own nothing. What a shocker. Yeah, I own my shirt. I own my underwear. Yeah, I for sure own my underwear. I know that. How do you know that nobody wants your underwear? How do you know? I mean, how do you know it's yours? Oh, whatever. I'm just saying ownership is a bizarre concept anyway, but let's talk about property. So personal property, no tax. Real property, you pay taxes. So whatever that means, right? What does that mean? Real property, you mean land, right? You pay tax. And what does tax mean? Real is real estate. Okay. What does tax mean? What does it mean to tax someone? Facebook, Cindy, go over to X. Cindy, go to X. Cindy, go to X. And you guys, Nancy, Vermilion CrossFit, X. Let's go to X. One day in 100 years, someone else will own all of our stuff anyway. No, exactly. There's no owner. So ownership is a bizarre, ridiculous, absurd concept, right? I own this land. I own this tree. Yeah. Well, the tree and that land are going to be there long after you're not. There's no such thing as ownership. Okay. Right. I own my shirt. What does that mean? I own my shirt. What does it mean? It means I have it. I wear it. Nobody else can have it. Nobody else can wear it. What the hell does that mean? The whole thing is ridiculous, right? All right. That's why the Native Americans, right? Beautiful, Cheryl. That's why the Native Americans, when they said, they bought, there's that famous myth or whatever that, Americans bought New York from the Indians, or Manhattan for what, $14 or something. Because you know why? Because they said, what? You want to buy the part of the earth? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Buy it. Yeah. I'm not even the owner, and I can't sell it. But you want to give me these trinkets? Great. Okay, but who was dumb in that thing? Who was stupid in that interaction? Of course, the white Americans. Yeah. Sorry if you're white, because I was born with that unfortunate. Listen, what I'm saying about white people is this, and I don't know why we got white, because I'm not really white. There's no one. The only white person I've ever seen is maybe an albino, right? But people aren't white. Everyone is different shades of colors, and we got to get off this white, black, brown, yellow. Because guess what? Can I ask you what's better? Please tell me what's better. Is a rose better than an orchid? Is a daisy better than a chrysanthemum? The answer to those questions are no. Why? Cheryl, you're right on. You can't buy the moon or the earth. You can't buy anything. To buy it means you got to go to the owner. Who's the owner? There is no owner, so you can't buy it. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Anyway. Okay, on Facebook. Yay, Skylab. On more Facebook. On more, you mean no more? Yeah. I mean, all right, good. So there's no ownership. We got to get that. Get rid of that, right? You don't own anything. We're all guests. We're not guests. We're an aspect of it. Anybody out there ever listen or read the books by a man named Alan Watts? Alan Watts. Ever read Alan Watts? All right. Get his books. He passed away now, but the guy was exactly a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. That's right. What's a name? A word. That's diagnosis, right? Well, I call it, this is intraductal carcinoma. This is invasive ductal. This is adenocarcinoma. This is invasive. Yeah, well, how did I get that? How do I get rid of it? I don't know. I'm just putting it there. Okay, great. You guys are getting it. Alan Watts. Alan Watts. Okay, now, Alan Watts said something really, I love it. I love everything. The guy's the absolute most articulate human being I have ever heard. Yeah, Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, he's kind of a modern day spokesman of this understanding, right? Richard Alpert, aka Ram Dass, same thing. And it turns out that this wisdom, this knowledge, comes from. It's always been known. It came to us actually out of. We are a guest. Right. But actually, it's okay. Let me finish this thought. Okay, so Alan Watts says, just as apple trees apple. I mean, what is that apple tree doing? It's appling. It's having apples. All right. The orange tree is oranging. That's what orange trees do. Well, the earth is doing what? It's peopling, and it's giraffing, and it's hippopotamusing, and it's birding. I mean, that's what it does. Those are its. How did it get that way? God imbued it that way. God. What is God? God is not an individual over there. It's everything. Anyway, the point is that we are all part of an aspect of the entirety. Let's just leave it at that, okay? Yeah. We live in fear, therefore we do not live. So, exactly. Siddhartha Gautama, who woke up, when he woke up, he got his name. He was called the Buddha. Bud in Sanskrit means awakened. So the Buddha is the awakened one. That's all. Okay, so anybody who's offended by Buddhism because it's another religion. I don't know, is it really exactly, Cheryl? But I can't say those things. Buddha. It's not another religion because Buddhism. They don't even pray to a god. They don't do things like that. All that is Buddhism is simply very simple. The way to wake up. It's a path to wake up. What do they mean wake up? Because we're in a dream. This is a dream. We're in a dream, and you got to wake up. All right. So, and that's all. So Buddha was the guy that woke up, and he said, "Don't worship me. Don't make statues. Don't do it. I just woke up. I'm just here to show you how I woke up, and you guys should try it. Right? Okay. That's all it means. All right. Anyway, one of the things that he said that's recorded in the Dhammapada is about the mind. The wise man studies his bow with the archer, and the carpenter produces a stool, but the wise person controls the mind. How do you control the mind? Whoa, there's nothing harder. There's nothing more difficult. Wait, what is this? How about this? I realize that I have smart water meter. I want my old meter back. We get rid of them, in my opinion. Kind of like when I told them. They told me I don't have to keep it, but I have to pay for it no matter what. Well, yeah, welcome to the madness. Greetings from the Sugar Land of Texas. Yeah, hey, Red December. Hi there. Hi, y'all. Thank you for coming on X. We're getting over to X. We're going to do it. We're going to get away from these sticky guys, right? And remember, the only thing they're sticking to is our minds, right? Don't let them hold your mind anymore. Okay, we got to break away. And how do we break away? Don't use the same words. Remember, the words are what that's their mind. And if you're not holding on to their words, you're not in their game. You're not in their mind. You have to understand how critical words are. They are the scaffolding, the structure of our minds. So you take different words, and you're not there anymore. Remember, the freedom is that. Okay. So we don't use their words. What kind of words do they use? They use words like, I don't know, pandemic, VACCINN. What else do they use? COVID, VIRUS. They use these words as if they were things, and we buy it. The minute you use the word, you gave it, you said, okay, that's true. Don't use the word. If I forget, let me give you an example. I say, every time there are these cyclops out there that eat humans. Cyclopses, okay? Cyclops. They eat humans. They're disgusting. They're horrible, but you can't see them because they're so small. You can't see these cyclopses, but they're there. They're there. And I'm going to say that 150,000 more times until you say, they're there. They're there. They're there. They're there. They're there. Cyclops, cyclops, cyclops. Oh, watch out for the cyclops. Okay. So now I want you to wear a mask to avoid those cyclopses. Those cyclopses are really small, but they're not small enough. That mask will protect you from the cyclops. Okay. You understand how insane that is? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the word science. Look, science is. Let me tell you something. I've got to use science because I've got to back up what I say with science. Okay, with that first of all, science has the parents of science, mother and father. The mother is ignorance, and the father is atheism. What do I mean by that? Okay, ignorance. When science started, it said, okay, we don't know anything. Forget all the wisdom of the past. We're starting over. What? Oh, the apple fell. Oh my God, must be something called gravity. Okay. Okay, so they're starting over. So science rejects all the wisdom of the past and starts over and pure ignorance. So out of ignorance, science comes. Okay, number one. Number two, there is no intelligence in the universe. It's not intelligence. It's stupid. It's stupid. It just randomly happens. Okay, this is science. I'm not. Tell me I'm not. Show me that's not true. Don't forget to turn your notifications on for this live here on X so you get here next week. Yeah, everybody do that. Yeah, excellent. Yay, you guys, let's do it. Now, okay, you understand? So ignorance and you can call it atheism, but let's call it there's no intelligence. That's how science. That's the foundation of science. Out of that comes what? What is the child of science? Technology, right? Science produces Wi-Fi, whatever, technology, the child of science, out of ignorance and ignorance and atheism, the same thing, right? Because atheism says that there's no there's no. I don't know what atheism is. Atheistic. There's no God. I guess that's what it means. But I don't know what they mean by God. So before we can even say there's atheism, we've got to define theism. And what is theism? Theism is the understanding that there is God. But then again, what is God? We have to define God. Okay, so I'm not going to even do that. Do you feel like World War III is about to start? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all been prepped. And I think, remember distractions, you guys, just keep this in mind. What is the main event we're watching right now? What are we watching on what are we all watching? What is the main event that we're watching every day? They stole our words and changed the definition. So we got different. Let's use the real words. Let's not use the word cancer. Let's use the word chronically fermenting cells because that's what they are. So we don't. Yeah, they don't. Their word, whatever the words they want to use, fine. Let them use it. We're going to get our words and we're going to define them. All right. Now, here's the thing. I just want you all to remember something. We are watching the show. What is the show? The show is this. Want to hear the show? Here's the show that's on everybody's vision. Everyone's, whether it's television, whatever you're watching on TikTok, you're watching it on whatever you're watching it on, Instagram, whatever. The show is this. The war in Ukraine is still going. The war in Israel and Palestine is still going. China is still kind of after Taiwan. Oh, what else is going on that channel? Well, we see, oh, my God. Donald J. Trump was elected president of the United States, and he's going to change everything. Wow. And he's got his guy working with him named RFK Jr., and he's going to change. He's going to do exactly what we've always wanted. So, like, you mean like we went, like 1 week we had the threat of complete totalitarianism, and it just changed like that with an election. And we know elections just happen, right? There's just they just happen, and they're always right. No, not well. Sometimes they don't seem. They seem kind of. Sometimes they seem kind of iffy, right? But not this time, right? It didn't. There was no iffies, no mail-in ballots, no problem at the polls, huh? And it was a landslide. Well, fans of that. Say it. All right, that happened, yeah. Okay, and that happened because the guys with the trillions said, you know what? We don't need to restore the two-class system. That's what they said, right? We don't need to restore the two. We'll keep it 3 classes. Is that what they said? No. So the election was allowed to happen. Let me interpret what's happened. The election was allowed to happen the way it happened. And now the main show is everything's okay now. Whoa, we made it. You see, I told you, light triumphs over darkness, good triumphs over bad, blah, 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 blah. There you go. We won. And we didn't have to do anything. I know in the past, historically, people have had to have bloodshed, and to not us. Hey, all we had to do is wish for it. Yeah, because we're of the generation that, you know what? Let's just imagine how it should be, and it'll be. Right? Let's just imagine. I'm picturing light and beauty, and it's going to happen. I'm going to manifest it. I'm a co-creator. Anyway, listen, I know that talking directly to people doesn't really work, so I have learned, and I happen to be very fluent now in sarcasm. Yeah, I speak fluent sarcasm, so I hope you're hearing what I'm saying, okay? That none of this is what's happening, and none of it is real, and none of it happened the way you think it happened. And by the way, you don't hire, when you got tons of money, you don't hire the best sharpshooter, marksman that you can get. And then that marksman, that sharpshooter, takes aim at a guy standing up giving a speech, and no one's around them. So it's got a free shot. Got a free shot. And oh my God, missed, hit the ear at an angle that didn't hit the head. That means that had to be, actually, that was pretty good. If that happened, I don't know if that happened, because I haven't seen any scars. Have you seen scars? Anybody seen scars? Nah. Okay. So, and he went, oh, by the way, if you're shot from behind, you get a shot from behind, do you know which direction it is? Do you know if it's on your right or left? You don't know. Shh. All you know is, and you're going to get down. Now, when you get down, are you going to suddenly say, you know what? I don't care if I get shot again. I'm going to get up. I don't think so. I think you might just stay down until you know there's no more shooting. I don't know. But not him. Right? And just happened to be a guy down there with a camera. And then somebody just happened to have a flag, and they were waving it just at that moment. Can you imagine? Oh. At that moment, the flag showed the guy there, and we got this iconic picture. Don't you love that word, iconic? I hate it. Okay, I hate that word. Like I hate narrative, iconic. All these words, don't use them, because they use them, and now they don't mean anything, right? Like the word awesome doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. It means you're part of the group. Yeah, it means you can use the rhetoric. Yeah, that's all it means. That's all it means. If you can use awesome, rhetoric, and narrative. Awesome, what? Awesome, rhetoric, and what's the other one? Narrative. Awesome narrative. Yeah. Whatever. So anyway, they got him right here. Now, if anyone ever watched a movie, okay. Now, the guy gets shot in the movie. Does he get shot? No. But you see blood. Oh my God, what happened? How'd they do? All right. So they have ways of spilling blood. Now, if you've got something over here behind your ear, and you go watch those shows again. Watch that shot again. He goes, oh. First of all, he heard it's coming on the right side instead of, I don't know how he heard that. He's got the ears of a dog or of a cat. Right? So he heard it, and then he went, and suddenly there's blood. And the blood's down, and then he went, oh. And we got this picture. It's incredible. Isn't it incredible how those things just lined up like that? So anyway, that picture. So what does that do? That puts him into the category of what? The wounded hero. Fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. I'm sorry, that was Superman. But now he's in the class of JFK, the class of Martin Luther King. Wow. Oh my God. He's got, oh my God. Right? And then what happened? Then what did we do? Then there was an unencumbered election. Oh my God. And he was elected by a landslide. Oh my God. See, I told you good always triumphs over evil. Anyway, I hope you guys aren't believing the story. I hope you're ready. Okay, sorry, you guys. All right, I got to stop talking about this stuff. Let me get on with what we're supposed to talk about. It's just that I can't help it because I can't help it. All right, let's look at the stories, the questions. What are the questions this week? Oh, by the way, you all know that, we're going to move over to X, Dr. Thomas Lodi, MD, Dr. Thomas Lodi, MD, Dr. Thomas Lodi, MD, instead of, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Well, Rumble's cool, Dr. Thomas Lodi, and Meta, and TikTok, I don't know. Are they going to ban it? Who's going to ban it? They were saying that it's owned by Chinese. Well, 20 the founders, the Chinese founders own 20%. Who owns 60%? You got it. You got it. Who owns everything? You got it. Who owns 60% of it? You got it. That's it. They own 60%. So they own 60%. So what are we doing with this thing? Why are we doing? What's going on? You got to remember, everything that appears to be isn't. That which appears to be isn't. Period. When you know that, then you say, okay, then what is? That's when you can. But if you don't even know that, if you don't know that what appears to be isn't, then you can't even look for what really is. Keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. Whatever you think is happening is not happening. All right, so you all know, I think by now we have these 4 groups: the CFC group, Parasite group, and the Health and Healing group. 3 groups, yeah. And this month it's all open forum, meaning there's going to be. I'm not going to start out with a small lecture or anything like that. We're going to just go straight into questions and answers. All right. So now, okay, where are we? Okay, so the questions are here. Here's the questions. We're going to start with the questions. This is from Mav. Wait a minute. Where am I? Yay, there I am. Okay, so Mav. I got to keep you guys on. See if I'm here. You hear me on Instagram. Okay, get over to X. X. Okay, so now, Mav, I suspect I have a hiatal hernia due to constant GERD symptoms, especially bad overnight, but acid present almost all day to varying degrees, chest pains, and sour taste in the mouth. Do you recommend getting tested to verify this, and can you suggest a way to help treat it? Thank you. Okay, now, GERD is gastroesophageal reflux disease, all right? Let's call it discomfort. Gastroesophageal. Gastro refers to stomach, esophagus, reflux, going backwards. So why? Because the stomach is acid, and if it goes backwards through into the esophagus, why would it go backwards? Because normally we have a sphincter there. We have I guess 4 main sphincters. The gastroesophageal sphincter. Why? Because you don't want acid to go backwards. The pyloric sphincter, which is separates when the stomach empties into the duodenum. You don't want it to go back. And then at the end of the small intestines, the ileum, it goes into the cecum, to the colon, which starts with the cecum, and you don't want it to go backwards, right? You don't want feces back into your small intestines. So you have the ileocecal valve, the ileocecal sphincter, the pyloric sphincter, the gastroesophageal sphincter, and you got the rectum, which is the other sphincter, right? So those are the 4 main sphincters I can think of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the gastroesophageal sphincter, esophagus, gastrostomach. Okay. The reason you don't want to go to the back because you'll burn it. What happens if you get constant reflux back into the esophagus? What do you get? You get scarring, and of course they call it a disease. They call it Barrett's esophagus, or you get scarring of the disease. Yeah. And you know what happens? That can develop into. Okay, in other words, what they're saying is that you can damage the inflammatory response, chronic inflammatory response from acid going into that tissue, causes the cell to, this happens to lose its mitochondria enough that it has to start fermenting, and then you get chronically fermenting, which is why esophageal CFCs are usually in the lower 2/3 of the esophagus for the most part. Not all of them, of course, but and it is associated with that. So again, you don't want to have GERD, not only because it's uncomfortable and it burns and blah, 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 but you don't want to have you don't want it to eventually develop into that, which it may or may not. Okay, so now, do you have a hiatal hernia? Yes or no, right? Because that's what you're assuming, right? And you're assuming it because you're up, because it's especially bad overnight, right? Why would that be? It's not overnight. It's when you lie down. I imagine sitting up, it's not going to do that. When you lie down, if it is indeed the sphincter is not tight enough, so the acid actually goes up into the esophagus. If that's what's happening, then when you lie down, of course, it's going to do that. And when you sit up, it's not. Right? So that's what I think what you mean by overnight, and that would give, uh, you know, indirect evidence that it is indeed a hernia. Although even if it's not a hernia, it can happen. What can happen? Now wait. So what causes? How does one lose the sphincter tone of the sphincter at the gastroesophageal border? Right. How does that happen? Okay. Well, first of all, the symptoms, right? The symptoms are what they call heartburn. They call it heartburn. I don't know how they. Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, it's esophageal burn, and it's a burning feeling right in there. So it feels like it's up here. Chest, it's in your chest, and it can cause pain. Yeah, especially when the esophagus spasms, it causes pain. In fact, esophageal spasm is often confused as a heart attack. And in fact, one of the things that has to uh, you have to do is to find out is this when someone comes in the emergency room, are they having a heart attack, myocardial infarction, as they call it, or are they having esophageal spasm? Right. Well, what we used to do is we one of the ways we do it diagnostically, but we also do it to relieve the pain. Is nitroglycerin under the tongue. Nitroglycerin under the tongue. You can get any way you give it, but it's easier if you're at home under your tongue. Sublingual nitroglycerin, it causes dilation of the coronary arteries, all the arteries actually, but the coronary arteries, and that relieves the spasm of the coronary arteries. All right, so but it also relieves the spasm of the esophagus. So if the esophagus is spasming, that's you won't know the difference between that and a heart attack. You can't tell. It's someone squeezing. Like, yeah, I can't breathe. Yeah, same kind of thing. And it's not like that common, but it's not that uncommon. Does that make sense? No, it sounds like bullshit, right? It sounds like allopathic bullshit. And well, that's let me try to say it in realize. It happens, I would say, I don't know. I'm guessing I haven't done the research on this, but I'm saying it's less than 5% of chest pain that is typical of heart attacks can be attributed to um, esophageal spasm. Anyway, didn't mean to segue on that. So those are the symptoms of hiatal hernia, and you could also get nausea, vomiting. You can get regurgitation of food. You can vomiting. It can get so bad you can have shortness of breath. I mean, you could it actually could become really horrible. So, but anyway, if you have mild, so the question is, how does it happen? How does this, how could this possibly happen? Well, a couple of the things that cause it to happen are overweight, right? Because when you're overweight, see anything that's going to increase abdominal pressure to cause that sphincter to kind of open up, right? Anything to cause that. So overeating is going to put pressure on that. That's why if you've ever overeaten and you notice that you've got some heartburn, that's why. You're just putting pressure. So because remember, a sphincter is going to close, and it's got to have that. It's got to be tighter than the pressure coming from below. Otherwise, it's going to open it, right? All right. So overeating, obesity, things like that, can cause it to happen, right? And so, uh, certain, I guess, medications can do it and all that, but pretty much, you know, uh, it's not acid. It's not that you're making too much acid. You're not making too much acid. I mean, the pH of our stomach is supposed to be about 1.5, which is, I mean, it's one is the most acidic you can get. It doesn't get any more acidic. Neutral is 7. Above 7 is alkaline. Below 7 is acid. So 1.5 is what that's normal. So what you're not, you 1.2? That's no. That whole idea is ridiculous. The truth is this, that it's leaking backwards. That's what's happening. And it's leaking backwards because of what we've eaten. So, for example, eating lots of processed carbohydrates can result in that, right? Because it winds up absorbing the acids and fluids like that, and it can, just like uh, bread, when bread rises, let's call it rising. Anyway, it gets bigger, it absorbs water, and so carbs can do that. If you've ever eaten a big carbohydrate meal like pasta, and then you had what else did you? You had bread with your pasta, of course. Got to have bread with your pasta, and then you had dessert, and dessert was made of yo. Um, And so anyway, you got all this carbs and sweet and all that. That also causes the sphincter to dilate. Yeah. Okay. And so, I mean, and you can even get difficulty as well. So how do we get rid of this? Oh, by the way, what's that song on the White Album? Anybody know that song? What's sweet now turns so sour. Savoy Truffle, is that what it's called? The Savoy Shuffle? I forget the name of that song on the White Album, but guess what I loved on that album, on that song, right? What's sweet now turns so sour. That was one line in there. What's sweet now? Think of that. Everything you're eating sweets. Think of that. It's going to be sour. And how do you know it's sour? Just vomit it a little bit later. You're going to see how sour it is. Or burp it up into your esophagus. You're going to see how sour it is. So what's sweet now turns so sour. We all know oh blah blah blah. So anyway, great song. These guys just no words for these guys. Anyway, you hear me on Instagram. Okay, so you guys are you Gumby on there? Can you still? What are we talking about here? Try to go on X. TikTok's permanently banned as well. Yeah. Oh, your TikTok is yay. Welcome to the band. We should call ourselves the band, right? Remember the original band? They're the ones that backed Bob Dylan. Yeah, you all know that, right? I don't know what's backwards and forward. I don't know, because this doesn't move. I don't know where we are off topic. Off topic. So sorry, can't stay on for long. What is a legitimate source to purchase ivermectin anyway? Okay. Anyway, yeah. I don't know where you guys are. I can't tell because it's not moving, so I'm gonna just forget it now. Okay. So esophageal reflux. So by the way, can you heal it without surgery? Well, if it's mild means that it's not a big deal. Now, if the sphincter got, I mean, you'd have to be really obese for a long time to get the sphincter, things get really displaced. That's so. Yeah, you don't need surgery. And does surgery work? Well, if you do the same things that you were doing prior, that brought it about in the first place, then it's going to recur. So that's not even it anyway. So what do we know? So what? Well, it's the size of the hernia. Well, hernia means something goes from one part where it's supposed to be in one compartment and goes through to another compartment. So you can have a hernia here and a hernia there. In other words, so a hernia usually means, like when we talk about a hernia, he's got a hernia. There's a ventral hernia where the intestines come through the muscles. There's an inguinal hernia that we're all familiar with, where again the intestines comes through the muscles down there in the inguinal area. The inguinal area is that area between your upper thigh and your pelvis. That line there, right? Okay, that's the inguinal canal. So, all right. So the so how do we heal? How do we allow this to heal? Well, first of all, how does anything heal? And you sprain your ankle, how do you make it heal? You don't make it heal. What you do is you stop walking on it, and you rest it, you elevate it, and you do what? You allow it to heal. How does it heal? Because that's how we are made, constructed, evolved, grew. However you want to view us, are we the earth peopled us this way. I mean, whatever, however you want to view it, here we are, and we heal. And if you don't believe it, cut your finger, stare at it for the next 72 to 96 hours. Stare at it, and you're gonna say, "Whoa, look at that." Then I want you to go outside and see if someone's got a BMW. No, I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm just saying, for example, if you were to do that to a BMW or to a Mercedes or to another expensive automobile, Ferrari, you'd find out that it doesn't heal, but this does. Whoa. And that's worth what, 500,000? How much is a Ferrari? Whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Whatever they're worth. This is worth more. So don't sell yourselves short. In fact, you are unpurchasable. I want you to understand that. There's no amount because money is not value. Money is not a surrogate for value. Even what's he worth? What the hell does that mean? I hate that question. What's he worth? What's he worth? He's worth. Well, I gotta say, he's worth being, and because God said, God that is worth a lot since God made him, and him, her, it. What's God? I'm not getting into that for the moment. For the moment, we're just talking about broad concepts. Okay. But anyway, the fact that something exists means it has value. Value means what? What does value mean? It means something is worth something else. It doesn't make any sense. The word value. What's the value of that? What does that mean? That means, can I exchange it for something else like paper or gold or land? I can exchange the land and it's going to give me the same. No, it's not going to replace. It can't replace that. If I take away this life, whatever I put there is not that life. So it's not. I can't. There's no equation. I don't know if you guys understand. I understand that I can't communicate it. Anyway, the word value, forget it. All right. So anyway, yes, you can heal this without doing surgery. Right? You can. All right. So the way you heal anything is you don't do anything. The best thing, remember this should be written all over the walls of your house. The best thing to do about anything is nothing. Right? Nothing. You want to win an argument? Stop talking. You want to get healthy? You're sick? Stop eating. Oh, by the way, if you don't think that is true, prove it to me. Prove it to me. Do it. And when I say stop eating, I don't mean stop drinking water. Oh, you got to stay hydrated. I didn't say that. I just said stop eating. And where did I get that idea? Well, I mean, when horses are sick, they don't eat. When dogs are sick, they don't eat. When birds are sick, they don't eat. I mean, nothing in nature, when it's not well, it eats. Why doesn't it eat? Because it's healing. Why is it doing that? Because it's under the auspices of instinct. Instinct, what's that? Well, that's how God communicates to everything. What's God? Who's God? God is the intelligence of the universe, and that's where it's being. Just like under the ground, the trees are all connected by mycelia, right? And they're all communicating, right? Okay, that's kind of like instinct. The divine web by which all creatures are connected to the wisdom of God. That's it. And we are kicked out of that garden. We're kicked out of that garden. We're kicked out. We're not kicked out. We're coerced out of there when our parents say to us, no, stop, don't, no, stop, don't, no, stop, don't, no, stop, don't, right? As a little pre-verbal kid, all we know is they don't like me. They don't like me. They don't like me. And I can't do this and I can't do that. So I better get the mask. I'll get a mommy mask and a daddy mask, Uncle Charlie mask and all that. I'll get all these masks so I can protect myself so they don't get mad at me, right? We do that, right? Because all we're doing is acting instinctually. Not good. Don't you act instinctually. You be a good and cultured little Chinese, a good and cultured little American, a good and cultured little African, whatever you want to be, okay? But don't be instinctual, okay? So we don't, forbidden, God forbid, we should be instinctual. Don't touch yourself. Don't touch yourself there. Don't touch him. Don't touch her. Don't do this. Don't do that. Little girls don't sit that way. Little boys don't cry. So in the end, what do you become? You become a good American or a good German or a good whatever, right? Instead of a good earthling. An earthling, yes. Forget this earthling stuff. And remember, our system is better than their system. Know what? You know what? They're not. There's no system better than any other system. Why? Because every system is an abomination before God. Yeah, every system, right? Not just. I'm not prejudiced. I'm not saying any. They're all bad. They're all an abomination. I'm not just saying good or bad. It's just an abomination. But why? Because they deny instinct. Oh my God! And what does that mean? They deny that which is that out of which all things occur. Anyway, we won't get into that deep stuff because you guys are interested in this stuff. So what you can do is you stop eating. First of all, if you got GERD and stuff, go on a green juice cleanse and put enough fruit juice that is delicious. Okay, make it delicious. Do that. Do that. Try that for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and believe me, it's so much easier than you imagine. It might. You think it's hard. It's not. The hard part is deciding to do it and then doing it. But once you say, I'm going to do it, okay, that's it. It's done. It's done. You're going to do it. Okay, just make sure the first night you go to sleep early. Go to sleep early. Go to sleep early. Get past the first day and the second, third day, fourth day. Oh, wow. All right, so do that. Do that. Let it rest. It'll heal. It'll heal. How do I know it'll heal? Because it's how it was designed. All right, so now when you resume eating, you don't eat a lot of cooked carbs at all. You eat within a 4 hour to 6 hour window, and you stop eating 5 to 6 hours before you go to sleep, and you go to sleep at 8. And you never get full. Get almost full. Don't get full. Get almost full. So if you can imagine your stomach, don't ever let it get more than 70% full of anything. Don't eat until you're full. Eat until you're not. Just eat a little bit and then say, okay, I'm done. Try it. It's not easy. Okay. So but anyway, you do all that and it will heal, right? And are there natural products you can use? Absolutely. Ginger. Ginger is great. Get some ginger. Get the actual ginger, the root, and shred it and put it in water and bring it to a rapid boil and let it boil for a while. Or you can cut up little teeny pieces. Let it boil for a long time just to get all that stuff out of it, right? And it's going to be a tea. Then when it cools off, you got a tea. You can put it in a glass and you can put a little honey if you want, whatever to make it taste good. And just drink. Ginger is very good for healing. So is licorice root, aloe vera. Aloe vera, you can blend up, get the real leaf. Don't get the stuff in the store. Get the real leaf, peel it off, put that in. Blend that up with and put it in with your ginger tea and whatever, or put it in with your green juice. Right? And lots of probiotics, of course, because now they're gonna be having stuff to eat because you're eating healthy. Yeah. So it'll heal. 1 to 3 months if it's mild, moderate. It'll depends on how long it's that. It might take 3 to 6 months, but it'll heal. Yeah. And now they're going to have you take antacids and proton pumps inhibitors and all that sort of thing, which is crazy because that's not the cause. It's not the cause of the problem is that you're producing acid. That's what you're supposed to do, produce acid. Pretty acidic acid. I mean, acid enough to take the skin off your fingers is what you're supposed to produce. And at 1.5, I'm telling you, you're not going to go down. You can't say, well, at 1.3, that's a little bit too much. No. Okay. I hope I got that point across. Darlene, should we be filtering our water? Is using distilled or reverse osmosis? I heard it was dead because it takes the minerals out. What is the best way to add them back safely? Are restructuring units beneficial? And then there's a link here to the wellness enterprise talking about the aqua energizer. Then there are gravity countertop models like Berkeley and Alexa Pure water filters. All right. So yeah. All right. So now, Darlene, this is actually really important, and y'all, we want to do we're going to do the water fast together. Okay. Not January 1st, because who's going to be even up on January. But and also, instead of going right into the water fast from meatloaf, mashed potatoes, turkey, whatever it is, and then going to a water fast, instead of doing that, what we'll do is we'll come into January. We'll start out by eating really healthy for 2 weeks. Okay, just start eating salads. Just eat salads and uh, stop eating animals and stuff that comes out of animals just for a couple of weeks. Okay, and eat as much salad as you can. Okay, if you gotta steam something, steam, but not much. Try to do that for a couple weeks. Then we'll go into the water. So let's say we'll say around January 15th or 16th. We're going to be getting ready for it. In the meantime, since we're doing a water fast, let's make sure our water is good. And so, what is our water going to be? And that's what Darlene has brought up, right? So now, so the Aqua Energizer is uh, supposed to be making structured water. Now, the whole idea of structured water is all right. So, first of all, you want to do, like, if you were to distill it, ideally, you would be taking everything out that's not H2O. H2O is water, right? Two hydrogens and an oxygen at a certain angular formation. By the way, water is a magical substance. And the reason I say that is because you've got these two hydrogens that are at this particular angle, and then the oxygen. So they're what they call it's a bipolar molecule. In other words, the oxygen side is a little bit electronegative, and the other side is a little bit electropositive. It's not like really powerfully, but it's mildly, and mild enough that it's bipolar. That when these molecules are together, that's how they go. They stick. They connect. They connect the positive, so they connect in that way. It turns out that water has functions and properties that are well. We should do. I will. I'll talk on water because water is just. I don't know how to put it. It's I guess the simplest word I can say is magical. Uh, it's imbued with properties that are more than just molecules. It's like it's a life. It gives a life and energy because of its structure. So structure and all that produces it. So it's bipolar. Now, okay, so I don't mean like somebody who's bipolar on lithium. We're not talking about that kind of bipolar. We're talking about the bipolar. Um, so it's all fits in a kind of a lattice. This gives it specific properties. That means it has a certain viscosity. It's got a certain pH. It's got a certain what's that called on top? Forgot. Anyway, but because of these properties, right, it is able to dissipate uh, heat to a point and it doesn't respond to the cold. In other words, it can stay uniform in under a lot of different varied temperatures, which is why the Earth is what it is. Because otherwise, if the water froze, we'd be in trouble. It doesn't really freeze except under extreme conditions. By the way, it is there's not another, it's the only substance that when it reaches the solid, remember, all things have a gaseous phase, a liquid phase, and a solid phase, right? We know that, right? Ice, water, steam, right? We know that. Okay. This is the only substance that when it becomes solid, where it's more condensed, it's lighter than the liquid. Every other substance, when it goes from a liquid to a solid, becomes more condensed, heavier. This becomes lighter. That's why ice floats. This doesn't exist with any other liquid. Water is pretty special. So now we're talking about structured water. When people talk about structured water, what they're talking about is it H3O, three hydrogens and one oxygen? No, it's actually H3O2. So H3O2 is also known as the fourth phase of water, or structured water, or what else do they call it? Well, there's one other name for it. Anyway, and it's the idea is that when it's structured that way, it forms the connections between the water molecules are hexagonal, and they therefore are able to hold in more oxygen, is the idea, and they're able to hold in more energy, and then they're also more. It's more this water is more um, absorbable and utilized by the body, etc. And it can hold in minerals and all that. So it's got a lot of properties that make it uh, a healthier alternative, or healthier than this regular H2O. Now, I'm not so sure about that, and I don't think anyone is, um, because remember, water in and of itself is extremely magical. I want you, before I'm going to give a talk on water, but I want you all to think about it. Think about this one thing and see if you can give me, see if anybody can come up with an answer. Not this moment, but you're going to have to think about it. How is it that trout swim upstream? The water's coming this way and they swim that way, and they're doing it effortlessly. It's like they're not trying. How do they do it? How do they float upstream? Don't think about it right now. Put that right there. I'll do it later. Okay. So, okay. So the fourth phase of water, supposedly, right? The fourth phase, right? Three phases are solid, liquid, gas, and then structured water, right? That's called the fourth phase. All right. So now that's supposed to be, again, as I said, more bioavailable. It holds more oxygen, it holds more minerals. It's just more, blah. Okay. So now that's what's supposed to be. So you have to start with just H2O. So the best way to start with H2O is to distill it. Distill means you boil it, and then you let the steam come up. You collect the steam, and the thinking is only thing that's coming up is the water. Well, other stuff comes up too, unfortunately. So it's really hard. So you have to double, triple, and quadruply steam distill something to really get the pure stuff. So let's say you do get pure. It'll have a pH of 7.0. It'll be absolutely neutral, meaning there's as many hydrogen ions as there are hydroxyl ions. Completely neutral. Okay. And it will have one if water is the element, is the reference we use in a lot of scientific notations, such as pH. It's zero. It's also the fundamental density of things. So it's really kind of a special thing. So anyway, now the question is, where do we see structured water in nature? Wait, I got to turn off the air conditioning. Can you imagine? I got to turn off the air conditioning. Wow. And it's more quiet, right? Quieter, more quiet, quieter. same thing. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we see structured water happens in, guess what? Plants. When plants draw up the water from the roots, and it goes against the cell wall, right? What is the cell wall? What is it made of? Well, what it's made of is, polymers and pectin and cellulose. So these kinds of structures are really just polymers. I know that's not the language if you don't know chemistry. Okay, they're different complicated structures, not complicated, just complex structures of basically of carbohydrate, glucose, and stuff like that. Anyway, they have an effect on the water as it's coming through, and the water can change. And by the way, all substances that exist, you got to realize you have billions upon trillions of molecules, and molecules are small. I mean, one molecule of water could never be seen. can never be seen. One molecule of oxygen, you can't ever see these things. Anyway, as they're in together and they're going, there's emotion, right? Because emotion is life, right? When things are not moving, it's over, right? Right. And how do we measure movement? How do we know? Okay, movement is measured by its temperature, right? So when the molecules are moving slow in the water, it's in the H2O, it's ice. When the molecules are moving faster, it's water. When the molecules are moving faster, it's steam, but it's still H2O. So, okay, so and those all are associated with a different temperature. Energy, movement equals temperature. Clear, right? Right. So, anyway, so the fundamental structure of the fundamental substance, like we got air, we got water, whatever we have, it's this dance. Now, this dance is, in science, they refer to it as Brownian motion. And Brownian motion is what they say, disordered, chaotic. It's just moving. It's just chaotic. And it's the true definition. I think it's the one definition that scientists say of chaos. There's no order. Well, I don't beg to differ. I demand to differ, and that difference is no. I think it's the opposite of lack of order. I think it's pure order, and it's in a way that you'll never figure it out. Brownian motion is that which is required for substance to exist. All right, you don't have to know what I just said, but it doesn't matter. Just understand that I disagree with them. Okay, so Brownian motion. Anyway, so things are moving. Okay, and so as they're moving, my point was this: they change. So sometimes an H2O will become an H3O. Sometimes it will become an H3O2. That just happens. And it goes back and forth. Okay, those are different. Like O2, oxygen becomes O3, which is ozone, and it becomes O5, O6. Then it goes. It's all. That's just part of the process. Okay, so understand that. But to have predominantly one form is what we're talking about. So predominantly H2O. But in the plant, we can turn it into H3O2. So we can get structured water from a plant. So what does that mean? Drinking juices, sap. It's called sap, which is the extract of water from plants. Okay, so drinking that. All right. Now, what else is in sap? Sap is not only structured water, but it's got minerals. It's got the hormones, right? Because when the water comes up, okay, it's called xylem. It's a hard word to pronounce. XYLEM. Xylem. And then, it's full of minerals and stuff like that of the plant, and it's moving through the plant, right? It's going up through the plant, up, right? Then when it gets to a place in the plant where it performs some kind of function and produces what do plants produce? They produce sugar, carbohydrates, right? That's their end product, right? So when it makes that, and then it makes its hormones to communicate, because it's got hormones too. Yes, it is. Anyway, now once it's made whatever it's made and it's moving it to another part of the plant, that's called. It looks like the word phlegm, but it's not phlegm the way we think of it. Anyway, so that's the stuff that's in there, and it's all structured and it's full of different things. So when we think of structured water, we have to keep that in mind. So now, so the question is, does this aqua energizer do that? And from everything I can tell, and I haven't been able to read the actual papers, the answer is yes, they seem to be doing that. Okay, and I'm saying that on hearsay because that's what I'm reading, but I haven't seen the actual papers that show me that. And then the people that substantiate it are people that I respect and trust, so that are substantiating it, that I would think wouldn't just say such a thing. However, again, I have to read that. I've got to see the actual research, and I've got to see that that's happened. So and I'll never say anything is. I'll never confirm anything without knowing that, without having seen it myself. And I'm talking about Thomas Cowan. Who else? There are other people. I forget the names, but these are people that are just not out making money to make money. They're not going to endorse something. Who are the other people? I forget who they are, but anyway, they were quite reputable people that But I don't. It doesn't matter. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's whoever. I am not great. I get it now, but you know what? I'm just a curious kind of guy. Let me just read it. Can I see it? Can I? I just want to see it. I want to see it. Okay, so I will let you know, and I'll look at this, and I'll see if indeed if it is. There's any proof. So now, if it is H3O2, which is structured water, then indeed, is it really? What are we really getting benefits that we think we're going to get? Right? Because we're supposed to get like more oxygen, more bioavailable, and all that stuff. In other words, we should be more hydrated because we're all basically dehydrated. But that's not going to help us. You see, if you're accumulating toxins and your hormones are now decreasing in their output, so you have less hormones. Those hormones are what allow cells to. One of the things they do is allow cells to stay hydrated. So older people are dehydrated regardless if they're drinking water or not, right? So they can get more and more dehydrated. So anyway, so this H3O2 is supposed to hydrate you more effectively. Okay, we'll see. So yeah. So oh, by the way, the other people I think that were that said this was good was Dr. Gerald Pollack, who is the guy that kind of came up with the idea of structured water. So and then Masaru Emoto, the guy that did showed the crystals, and Thomas Cowan. Yeah, these are like these, but good. I want to see what they saw that made them say that. Okay, so remember that I will never ever endorse something on hearsay, and I don't care who's saying it. All right, all right. So it's a good thing, darling. We got to figure that out. We got to figure that out because we're going to water fast, right? Okay, Shane. I said I have ALS. Is there anything I can do? Are there supplements or meds I can take, or a place to go for help? Shane. So if you I'm glad you asked, so we can talk about it. Shane is talking about ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which is a neurological degenerative condition. What's his name? Guthrie. Woody Guthrie had it. Lou Gehrig had it. Anyway, from what we've heard, is that it's inheritable, and it doesn't start until later in life, 30s or so, and then excuse me, there's no way to stop it. It's and basically your muscles stop functioning until they don't work, and then finally the muscles for breathing don't work, and that's it, right? So amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, and all that sort of thing. Okay. So is it genetic? Well, yeah. And there are several mutations, about 7 different possible mutations and these are like pretty significant, right? So like there's a mutation in the superoxide dismutase gene, the gene that produces superoxide dismutase. What is superoxide dismutase? Well, when oxygen enters the mitochondria of all cells, doesn't matter what kind of cell, except red blood cells, they don't have mitochondria. But when it enters, or CFCs, they don't, but they have, actually, not a lot, but they have. When the oxygen enters, O2, it splits into 2 atoms, which are called superoxide anions. So oxygen is O2. It splits into one oxygen, one oxygen. They have negative charge. They're superoxide anion. It's a free radical. Now, if you let that go, it's going to tear everything up. So you have an enzyme called superoxide dismutase, which turns it into peroxide, hydrogen peroxide. And then that gets turned into water and oxygen by an enzyme called catalase. That's the normal standard way of that it happens. So One of the problems that somebody with ALS could have is that they don't have the gene to make superoxide dismutase. And there are different versions of it, but it's the SOD1. They don't make it. But there are other situations that result in that. And they're bizarre numbers. C9OR. I don't know why they come up with these numbers. And then there's other ones with acronyms for FUS, TARD, DBP, and anyway, what happens is that they don't they don't repair RNA, they don't repair DNA, and you wind up getting a lot of junk as the nerves are metabolizing and growing and stuff like that. So you get a lot of junk, and that disrupts their function. Okay, and so and because nerves have to be they transmit electrically up. Electrically means electrons are transferring really quickly. And then when they get to the end of the nerve, that charge stimulates a chemical release. That chemical release goes from this nerve to the other nerve. Those are called neurotransmitters, such as acetylcholine or epinephrine or serotonin, dopamine. They stimulates the nerve, and then this whole process gets disabled, actually. Okay, so now now let me tell you about diagnoses again. A diagnosis is putting a name on something so that it exists. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is, again, how do you know that's what you have? You got a neurological problem. I had a woman in New York who got flu shot, and she was talking like, right? And then after a while, it got better. A month or two, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 6 months. So she got better. So she said, you know what? I'm going to do another flu shot. Now, this was a certified public accountant. She was, educated, smart person. Smart? How do we define smart? She did it again. And then that's when I met her. And things looked like that permanently. It wouldn't go away this time. This was New York, so she went to Sloan Kettering, she went to Lenox Hill, she went to what do you call it? Not Sloan Kettering. She went to Mount Sinai. She went to all the good ones. Albert Einstein, all the good hospitals to see their top neurologist. And some people said, I think it's multiple sclerosis. I think it's ALS. I think it's. In other words, these diagnostic categories they're not real things. They're just criteria. So one of the things that's unique to ALS is when there's upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron conditions. What they mean by upper motor neuron is upper means more central than the spinal, up into the spine, up into the brain. In other words, the problem is there versus peripheral. Okay, so if I damage something peripherally, like I damage a nerve as it's coming out of the spinal cord, it'll become flaccid, right? You got that? It's not getting the signal, so it's not working. So that's when it becomes flaccid, right? And so if you have flaccid, you start getting atrophy and shrinking, right? That's a lower motor neuron. So on a physical examination, we can see that everything is slower and it's flaccid and it's not responsive and active. Now, an upper motor neuron it's not getting the signal from the main area, and so but it's still got its neurotransmitters and all that, so it's kind of spastic. So upper motor neuron means a spastic condition, And a motor neuron means flaccid, kind of the opposite, right? There's a test we do on a physical exam where we take a, usually it's the reflex hammer, but the other side of the reflex hammer is kind of a sharpened, not real sharp, a dull sharp metal, and we go to and this people love this part. We go at the bottom of the foot, we start at the heel, and we work our way up to the toe, and the foot should go. It's got a certain reflex it should do, right? If it goes, then we know it's upper motor neuron, and if it's slow, then we know it's lower. That's one of the tests. We also do reflexes and stuff like that. So a lower motor neuron reflex would be really slow, whereas an upper motor neuron would be like that. So what happens with ALS is that we see that it starts out as, well, in a lot of cases, it depends on where the lesion is supposed to be, right? If the lesion starts out peripherally, then of course you're going to have lower motor neuron. You're going to have flaccidity first, but if it's upper motor neuron, you're going to have spasticity first. As it turns out, though, regardless of where it starts, the majority usually start with a lower motor neuron symptomatology, flaccidity and stuff like that. Okay, and then as it progresses, you get the upper motor neuron. Okay, so I think it was like 70% lower motor neuron first. All right, so are there any ways to treat this? Is the question, and yeah, there is there are natural ways to treat this. Now, first of all, what's happening is that on a biochemical level, what's happening there is what's happening in all conditions, and that is oxidative stress. What is oxidative stress? Well, we know that the fundamental biochemistry of life is called redox. Antioxidant, which is reduction, ox is oxidation, antioxidant oxidation. What does that mean? Giving electrons, taking electron, handing off electrons, right? Okay. The reducer, this is the opposite of the way it sounds. The reducer hands off the electron, gives an electron, the oxidizer takes it. Reducer, oxidizer. Right? That's the biochemistry of life, because with that biochemistry, we have energy into the system, and it can work. When that energy stops flowing, it doesn't work. So anything you can do to support that. So antioxidants, which are electron donors, got to keep that going in there, right? So that's ALA, right? Alpha linolenic acid, which is omega-3, stimulates the whole antioxidant process in the body. Anything that's alkaline. Okay, so but any antioxidant, so therefore, Valasta is going to give you lots of electrons. Vitamin C going to give you electrons. Vitamin E going to give you electrons. Okay, these are all very important. Okay, now when you get the vitamin E, that's alpha tocopherol. It's the tocopherols and the tocotrienols, not just tocopherols. So when you get a vitamin E, and it's better, you can get actually the what do you call it? The natural plant tocotrienols. It's in a powder form. Put it in smoothies and stuff. Tocotrienol is very important, not just tocopherols. Because when we think of vitamin E, we think of alpha tocopherol. That's just like we think of vitamin A as beta carotene. It's a lot of things. Okay. Get the mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols. Valasta, vitamin C. All very, very important. What else? NAD plus. This is one point. This is one part where NAD plus is great. So if you can get the NAD plus precursors, which is NMN and 5-amino-1-MQ, these are things peptides you can take orally that are the raw materials to become NAD, right? So NAD plus. All right. So and we think that NAD depletion is pretty much what we see with ALS as well. Okay, so that's very, very important. You can get IV vitamin NAD plus, and you can also get the precursors, like I said. Okay, coenzyme Q10. Remember, coenzyme Q10 is involved in the mitochondria of the electron transport of making energy. Right, enzyme Q10, very important. And there's a stuff that's it's called Adaravone, and Adaravone is actually made. It's made, but it's a very, very powerful antioxidant. And it turns out that it kind of targets the problems with ALS. And it's a good in other words, it's an antioxidant that scavenges free radicals, but it also prevents oxidation of the lipid membrane of the mitochondria and of other the cell, the plasma membrane. But it prevents that, because if you oxidize that, and when you oxidize lipids, it's called peroxidation. I don't instead of oxidation, but so it prevents peroxidation. It blocks NF-kappa beta, which is the central molecule involved in the inflammatory cascade. All inflammation, NF-kappa beta. What else gets that? Curcumin gets that. Vitamin C gets that. Quercetin gets that, which is the flavonoid. The different plants, polyphenols. So there's a lot of things that can get that NF-kappa beta. And then it turns on the NRF2 pathway, which is our body's system of producing antioxidant enzymes. That's great. You want to turn those on. This does that, okay? And it's good, and it helps the mitochondrial biogenesis, or growth, proliferation. So that's what this Evardone does. But you can, but it's produced in the laboratory, and it's made from another chemical called pyrazolone, and anyway, it works pretty nicely, especially in neurological conditions like ALS. But what I'm saying is, you can get all the things that it does: vitamin E, mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols; vitamin A, the mixed carotenoids; vitamin C, and of course vitamin D. You're going to take anyway. You're going to get iodine because it's got electrons hanging out, and Valasta. And you're going to eat food that has lots of antioxidants. Now we'll see, what is that? What kind of food has antioxidants? Is it bacon? No, it's not bacon. Is it a bologna? No, it's not bologna. Okay. How about chicken wing? No. Chicken breast? That's white meat. No. Pork chops? No. Steak? No. Blueberries? Yeah. Strawberries? Yes. Spinach? Yes. Kale? Yes. Oranges? Yes. Apples? Yes. Oh my God. I'm not going to draw the conclusion. I'll let you draw the conclusion. Okay? Because I don't want you to say I put words in your mouth. I'm not going to put words in my mouth. I'm going to put concepts in your mind. But you got to keep them there, because you got to read. All right. So where are we? What time is it? How late am I? 8:52. All right. So yeah, you can do it. Now remember, when I'm talking about the food, we're talking about the stuff they can do. It's the polyphenols. Okay, so the polyphenols. Where do we find polyphenols? Okay, green tea, berries, the colorful stuff. Colorful. And what else? What else? Not did I tell you that NF-kappa beta is completely knocked out by curcumin? Do you know that? Yeah, curcumin. Turmeric. Right? And how about resveratrol? Right? That's the polyphenol they find in red wine, and they find it in other kinds of berries and stuff. Yeah. And ginkgo biloba, believe it or not, ginkgo biloba. Yeah. Okay. So all of these things, and the coenzyme ketone and all that. So, gosh, it just turns out that, I don't know, if you ate a certain way, I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm a carnivore. I'm an omnivore. Oh. Now, when you say omnivore, does that mean Does that include you mean anything you ingest, right? So an omnivore could, I mean, just if you, an omnivore could someone who smokes, right? Uh, Alcohol, right? Omnivore, uh, drugs, omnivore, right? Is it? So no, that's not it. Okay, so what are we talking about then? So you have to define omnivore. Omnivore means I thought meant you can eat anything. Oh, drinking is not eating. Oh, I see. So when I drink juice, I'm not eating, right? Oh, I am eating because it's a liquid form of the food. It's not a solid form. Okay. Uh-huh. So I'm breathing oxygen. I'm not. Is that nutrition? Water is that nutrition? Anyway, we got to define terms here, right? Okay, that's all I want you to do. Remember that. Let's always. You're talking to someone about something. You got a subject you're talking about. Say, okay, great. Let's talk about it first. Before we talk about it, let's figure out if we're talking about the same thing. Okay, what's the same thing? Okay, what do you call water? What do you call air? Okay, and then once you have agreed on what you're talking about, I mean the definition, and then you can proceed to talk about it. Okay, so we'll always do that. All right, so let's go to the next one. Veronica, so I hope, Shane, you understand all those things you can do. You can do those, and you can do hyperbaric oxygen, and you can do all these things. Get vitamin C. Get onto it. Do as if you had CFCs. Do all that. Do all that. Okay, it's all the same thing. Okay, do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. And I don't know if you have these gene things going on or what, but you know what? Environment trumps, not Donald J, but environment trumps genetics. This is Veronica. My 15-year-old son is very ill with Epstein-Barr. I'm reading lots of autoimmune diseases come from this and even CFCs. Currently extremely fatigued, had to give up school and high level sports. He had just had an iron infusion 3 weeks ago, recommended by doctor, as he also had H. pylori that didn't react to triple therapy of antibiotics and PPIs. Proton pump inhibitors. Iron levels fell. So I'm looking for more answers as the doctor couldn't help much and wanted to give him more antibiotics. I was recommended to see a naturopath, and he was the first to detect the Epstein-Barr was active, causing these debilitating symptoms. We started with ionic silver, and we started with ionic silver uh, for infection, for H. pylori and Campylobacter. Vitamin C, zinc, lysine. Then this week started cat's claw, lemon balm, licorice root, lysine, zinc, and smoothies of wild blueberries, dulse, barley grass, spirulina, banana, and orange. Is there any way to get this virus out of the body, as I believe it can lay dormant later and cause terrible illness? I just want my son to recover. He's been ill for a year, and doctors have not pieced together the effect of glandular fever leading to Epstein-Barr. Okay, Veronica, we have to, again, define terms and figure out what we're talking about here. First of all, does Epstein-Barr exist? And if you search all the research, do all the research, it'll tell you that you've got antibodies to it. You can find particles, viral particles, meaning pieces of it, like its arm and its leg, earlobe, things like that. But has the virus ever been isolated? The answer is no. And then the question becomes, well, has any virus ever been isolated? Ever? In any laboratory, anywhere? And the answer is no. And they'll say, well, you can't isolate a virus by itself because a virus can't exist without the host that it's using. Okay, fine. Let's get the host and the virus and be able to separate. This is host, this is virus. Never been done, ever. It's what they call circumstantial evidence. If they find an antibody to something, it's that it exists because I found the antibody to it. Well, where's it? Don't ask those questions. So, anyway, so let me just tell you that's it. So when you went to the naturopath, what they did was they did a blood test. So they said it's active. So the only way that the naturopath could have decided that it's active is if they did uh, uh, it's an antibody test. They look for IgG, IgM, and there's a few others in there. So if they're saying activated, again, why do we say that? Because 90% or more, let's say 100% of adults will test positive for whatever HIV, whatever Epstein-Barr is, EBV. And it can be passed in saliva, semen, and just close contact, which is why it was called the kissing disease and whatever, mononucleosis. And by the way, glandular, what you're calling glandular, what you call it? Glandular fever? Glandular fever is mononucleosis, which is supposed to be caused by Epstein-Barr. So it's not that's what causes it. I mean, according to their story, but that's not necessarily true. That you've got this, the antibodies to Epstein-Barr are incidentally found in most people with this condition, but not everybody, or a lot of people, not most, a lot of people. Can you not have the antibodies to Epstein-Barr and still have mononucleosis or glandular fever, as you're calling it? Yes. Which means we'd have to say that then the Epstein-Barr is not really causative, but it's often associated with it. Okay, yeah, maybe that's weird. Anyway, in the end, you find out that that's not it. So here's the thing: what I'm trying to say: get away from thinking that you've got this. You found the answer. The answer is that you got this invisible little enemy that's in there going to do it. That's not the story. It's a cumulative toxicity. Now, I don't know. I'm hoping that your son did not get injected from Pfizer or Moderna, right? And if you're on right now, let me know if that's true. Are you on right now? Are you on? Is it okay. If you're on right now, then let me know, because if you were injected by either the Pfizer or the Moderna, Pfizer, as I say here in Thailand, then yeah, who knows what can happen? Lots of stuff, right? Wait, what is it? Oxalates. What was you guys saying there, Steve? Berries are as perfect a food as you can. Veggies can be high in oxalates, and too many oxalates can lead to kidney stones. Hey, Steve, I'm glad you brought that up because it's not true, and I'm going to show you when I do my thing. I'm going to show you. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. I know that's the rhetoric, and even the famous David Wolf. Kale is no longer a superfood. Well, guess what? Things like that just don't change. And yet, kale's still a superfood, and so is chia, and so is oxygen, and so is water. Yeah, these not changing. By the way, oxalates. It turns out the studies, Steve, you'll be very interested in this. The studies definitely show that the oxalates that are involved in oxalate stones are the oxalates that are produced endogenously and not in are not eaten. And they're able to do that by tagging, molecularly tagging stuff. So actually endogenous production of oxalates. And then the other big things, just for those of you that are wondering, the other big and lectins are good and not good. In other words, there is some of them are in our good interest. We really need them, yes, for life, and some are not. So we can't categorize things like that. However, so oxalates. Here's the thing about oxalates: the Most common kidney stone is calcium oxalate. Oxalate is an anion, and calcium is a cation. They come together and they form calcium oxalate. Now, this only happens in kidneys that are acidic and dehydrated. So if you're well hydrated and you keep it alkaline, it can't happen. There was several studies, and they took oxalate stone formers, people that had recurrent calcium oxalate stones in their kidneys. And they found that, I forget how much, 2 grams of magnesium oxide prevented them from getting stones. Why is that? Well, magnesium has the same charge as calcium. Magnesium is a 2+, calcium is a 2+. So they can kind of very similar with that regard. So you got enough magnesium in there, it's going to combine with the oxalate and not form a stone. Then the calcium won't do it. So magnesium oxalate. So as it turns out, if someone is drinking lots of green juice, which is going to have calcium, but it's going to have more magnesium. Why? Because anything green is magnesium. Why do we say that? Because green is chlorophyll, and chlorophyll molecule has at its very center a magnesium ion. That's what makes it chlorophyll. You get lots of magnesium, and you got lots of fluid, so you're hydrated. So you're hydrated, and because you got all these magnesium and calcium, all these minerals in it, you're alkalinizing it. So you got alkalinized water, alkalinized urine, lots of fluid, so it's well hydrated, and the magnesium. You got all the elements to prevent this from happening, and it does. It works very good. And so in 20 years, this is our 20th year at the Oasis of Healing, we've been drinking lots of green juice daily. And by the way, and it's kale, spinach, cucumber, and celery, lemon, and apple. That's our foundation. And then we play around with it. That's the foundation, which means tons of oxalate. So by now, some of the people that have been there from the beginning should have had a stone or two. No one has ever had a stone. So, and anyway, the research shows it. I'm going to go into the details of this on our food thing, because I got the last part of the food. It's going to be 3 parts of it. The last part's going to be on. Let's deal with these myths. Let's put the myths where they belong, in the annals of mythology. That's one of them. Okay, we got to get away from that too. And one of the other one is the goitrogen. Cruciferous vegetables produce goiters. Soy is bad. Oxalate, lectins, anti-nutrients. God, I gotta just eat animals. Anyway, we're going to address all those issues, and we're going to look at comparative anatomy and physiology. We're going to do all that sort of stuff. We're going to make this, we're going to try to have everybody see what do we know and what do we don't know, and let's put it together, and then we'll come up with our opinions. All right. So very good. So that's a good point, Steve. I'm glad you brought that up, because we need to talk about that. So I'm trying to read this message here. Just a good way to water fast versus 14, 21 days. Well, the length is going to give you what it's going to give you. 3 days will give you what 3 days will give you. 7 days will give you what 7 days will give you. 14 days, 21 days. I mean, depends on what you want to get out of it. Okay. You got to get beyond 10 days to take it to the next level. Up to 10 days is one phase. I would say beginning on day 11 or 12 is when you go into a really important phase. So I'd say if you're going to do it, yeah, 14 to 21, that's great. Because then you get not only, yeah, we need to go into the biochemistry of fasting and all that. Okay, so anyway, Darlene with the water, and then ALS, and an Epstein-Barr. The thing is, all this stuff you're doing is great, but I don't want you to think, Veronica, that the reason your son is having trouble is Epstein-Barr effect, which we're not even sure that exists because we've never seen isolated ever. So anyway, but has he been injected? Are you around a lot of 5G towers? You know, what else going on? What does he eat? What is, you know, we got to look at his house. I got to look at everything. Okay, let's not just remember. It's not just one thing. It's never one thing ever. I mean, the only times it's one thing is a truck hits you. You walk into an atomic power plant and it melts down like at Chernobyl. You're right there when it happens, or Fukushima. You're right there when it happens, or a tree falls on. You know, it's never one thing. It's usually a combination, an amalgamation of multiple things over time that produce it, right? And although it may have seemed rather sudden in your son's case, I don't know, but it sounds like it might have been that way. It was a long time. It was building up, unless one thing happened, like some, you know, unless he got like a big dose of EMF, or I don't, you know, I don't know. But don't get stuck on the EBV thing, okay? Because we don't even know if that's true, right? We don't know that, so we really have to look at what I need to know more about your son. I would give you a list of questions that we need to really look at, right? And then fundamentally, if he's tired and all that sort of thing, is he's having a mitochondrial condition, right? So we need to work on the mitochondria. So yeah, SS31, which is a peptide, MUTS5 peptide, repairs mitochondria. NAD plus, the NMN, the 5-amino-1-MQ, you know. But you can't just work on mitochondria. You got to work on on a lot of stuff too. But I'm just saying, one of the things to do is to repair mitochondria, get them working again, right? And there's lots of ways that we can do that. I just want to get the first step to help your son come back to health is to realize that we're not dealing with this one little invisible enemy. That's not it. So you begin by doing the cleansing, colonics, green, nothing but tons of juice. Let's do an 8-week juice cleanse, colonics. You'll be pretty shocked to see your son at the end of that. Pretty shocked. But start with that colon hydrotherapy once a week at least. Get someone in there, get a certified lymphatic therapist, and get them to do who knows how to do the glass rods, the electrolymphatic therapy. Do that. You know, if he can't be very active, if he's really tired. And of course, the vitamin C, A, D, melatonin, iodine, thyroid, adrenals. It's always the same thing. Get those things working. All right, clean out. Check out his mouth. Has he had root canals? Has he had extractions or anything going on? Have them see get a 3D cone beam by CT. Let's see what's going on with the mouth too. No matter what our condition is, that is other than health, which is optimal functioning of the organism. No matter what that condition is, we've got to say, okay, let's get rid of the garbage. Let's get rid of the trash. Now we can start to build, right? Because things aren't working. Get rid of the garbage, and then we can build a new thing, whatever it is, body, house, whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to build something, get rid of the garbage first. Otherwise, you can't do it. All right. That's just, it's always that way. And it's just that way. And so we got to realize that. All right. So now we didn't get to a lot of questions because every question is a million questions. And that's just the way it is. And if it and because I know you guys don't want, yes. The answer is no. The answer is yes. No, you are really, I mean, you guys, to be here and to ask these questions and to be actually sit through all my nonsense means that you're really like living on purpose. You're living consciously. You're saying, hey, I want to know what's going on here. And that's fantastic. So that's the club I'm in. You know, I'm glad you guys are here. We are out of time. It's 9:15 in our side of the world. And I, you know, and I'm, you guys, so to have more conversations, join the CFC group, join the Parasite group, join the health and healing, because we're going to, and then anything you want to talk about, we can directly converse, because I think it's always better to directly converse than for me to read questions and then have to assume anything. I don't want to assume things. I'd rather converse with you guys, even if it's virtual. That's fine. It's better than nothing, right? Okay. So are we all ready to go? Is it time to say aloha? Sawadee-ka, babnan ne? Okay. You want one more question? Okay. Here, this is from Julie. It just says, "Hi, I did leave a message on your email." Whoa! How'd you get my email, Julie? I need help. Liver flukes or stomach are in me for probably many years. Liver flukes or stomach are in me for me. Now I feel burning pain behind my lungs, higher back. Doctors at McGill Hospital for Infectious Diseases in Montreal are not habilitated to identify my photos, and I don't give me any prescriptions. How can I get them to take of me? I lost 25 pounds in a not even 2 months. Fasciola hepatica is literally eating me up. I had E. coli in blood, also pyelonephritis in kidney. Hospital near me gave me intravenous antibiotics, and thousands of flukes came out. All the easy to identify ones. No one recognized the parasite. I can get them specialists. All right. Excuse me. So, fasciola hepatica. So we all know. I don't know if we all know this, but you know what a liver fluke is. A liver fluke it's a flatworm. They often go well. The famous ones, the Pistacorchus and the Clinorchus, go into the gallbladder. I mean, into the biliary system of the liver, and they cause a chronic inflammatory response, and eventually what they call cholangiocarcinoma. But this one here, and I think we talked about this last time, right? Right? I thought I remember I was talking about this last week. Okay, so anyway, this fasciola hepatica goes into the liver, also causes chronic inflammation, but for some reason, infrequently is related to the cholangiocarcinoma, right? So, but anyway, so and it turns out that praziquantel, which does work for the Opisthocorchus and Clinorchus that we know are related to cholangiocarcinoma, doesn't seem to work for this. All right. However, nitazoxanide, the Alinea that we talk about for protozoa, it also works for this, right? and so that may be probably the best. Now, nitazoxanide, Alinea, you're gonna have to forget your specialist and all that. You're gonna have to go out of the system. You can probably order it, excuse me, from an Indian pharmacy, or if you just, if you have to, it sounds like you're in trouble there. Go out of the country you're in and go to a country where there's more freedom. How else do you say? Now it sounds like if you're at McGill, it sounds like you're in Canada, which is what do they call it? The World Economic Forum's young leaders. Oh, Mr. Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, he's one of those young leaders. He and who else? Macron. Oh yeah. Oh, they're just young leaders. They're young followers. Did I say that? Yeah, I said that. They're young followers. Who are they following? The Slav, Klaus the Slav. They believe Klaus the Slav. And do they believe it? They don't believe it. They don't care. What do they care about? They want to look good. They want to make money. They want to be famous. Is that true? Yeah. Prove it not true. In fact, we don't have time to do that because we're too busy trying to survive in the world that they're making for us, right? Yeah. Nitazoxanide is very effective against the fasciola hepatica. Okay. However, it's going to depend also on the stage of it. All right. So, as I say, praziquantel doesn't work that well at all, actually. So, you've got to get a hold of because the other medicines, drugs that work for this is the albendazole, right? But actually the triclabendazole, which is another one of the benzimidazoles, the triclabendazole is considered the drug of choice. So I say that, and the nitazoxanide would be a really good way of dealing with this particular flatworm. Albendazole is kind of like second; doesn't work as well as the triclabendazole. Now, I don't know if you're at the point where you're getting yellow, you're getting bile duct obstruction or anything like that. Then cleansing and all that's very well. That's all important anyway. But in terms of getting rid of this, and if you know you have it, I don't know how you know. Did they find it? Sounds like they must have found it. So you got the name, all that. So, but I would look at those: the triclabendazole and the nitazoxanide. And you know what? If you can't get it where you're at, leave and go get it. Go wherever you need. Go to Mexico. Come to Thailand. Go to India. You can just go walk in and buy it because, I don't know, third world countries, not free, seem to be more free than the first world countries that are free. How did that happen? Because remember, whatever the main show is, whatever we all believe, whatever we're being shown is not what's happening. It is a distraction. Okay, they're not going to say this they're not going to show you what's really happening. Because if they did, we'd revolt. So they've got us distracted here with a sideshow. Except this sideshow is the main show. Anyway, I hope I was clear today. I'm sorry for being so tired. I don't know why. I actually slept a little more last night than usual. But anyway, good. So next week, I got an idea. Next week, you know what? Wait, where is it? Let's do this again next week, right? Let's do it again. And by the way, we're all going over to X as much as possible, you guys. Okay, so I can be free. I was almost free today. Did I say anything? I'm sure I'm going to get fired again. They're going to fire me, kick me off. But I'm so happy you guys came, and I'm so happy you're here. And you're interested in exploring the truth, because that's all I want to do. That's what makes me happy. Right? That's what makes me happy. This is what I do when I'm done working. Then I do this. But that's what I do when I work. So this is what I do. It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with anything. This is what gives me Like, it satisfies me to talk about this stuff. So, you know, this is not a job. This is just fun, all right? And I can't imagine anything more valuable than doing what we're doing right now. So, by the way, I was involved yesterday with the uh, Indian Association of Functional Medicine from India. And I got to tell you, I love India and I love Indian physicians because it's the one time where I'm with all these medical professionals, and they get it. They get it. They understand that we are basically spirit, mind, body beings, and that it's all, I mean, they get all, and that's like, it goes without, it doesn't have to be, it's understood. It's just being with, it's just, so the level of our discussions can go deeper, and things that, we do, it's just really a pleasure to be in that kind of environment. So I gave a couple lectures, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and it was just fantastic. So yeah. All right, you guys. Swadee Kap, Namaste, Namaskar, Aloha, and from here, Namaste, from the heart. Okay. See you guys next week. Okay, on X, right? X, 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 X.